If you're trying to get your kids to eat more vegetables and you know they love a creamy pasta, this is the perfect dish for you. I used to make this one for my daughter all the time and she never knew I had vegetables in it, but it is so good. It's so creamy and rich. Everybody's gonna love it. It's gonna be your new mac and cheese pasta dish. It is super easy to put together. Let me show you how to do that. Pronto? Allora andiamo a cucinare. Ciao my friends, welcome to my kitchen. My name's Lucia and this is where I teach you easy recipes, healthy for everyday cooking. And today's super healthy because it is got vegetables in it, and of course it's got some cheese, and you know everybody loves cheese, right? So let me show you how easy it is to put together. First thing we want to do is we want to get our squash, whatever kind of squash that is, butternut, turban, acorn, whatever it is that you would like. So we just want to clean the center out with all the seeds, and then we want to of course peel the skin. Now this one, because it has some grooves, you might not be able to get right into the groove, but that's okay. We can cut that. So you want to peel as best as you can. So when we can't peel anymore, because you can see I still have some skin here, I'm now going to take my knife and I'm just going to cut along those ribs, and then I'm going to take my peeler and go back into it and try to peel even more. Now if you happen to buy a squash at one of the stores that's already peeled and cubed for you, even better. So now that we have our butternut squash all cleaned and ready to go, we're going to start adding things to our frying pan, or saute pan I should say. So I'm going to have a medium-high heat. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. We have our onion, and we don't have to worry about cutting these in really big or small pieces because we are going to blend this. So I am going to cut them in uniform size pieces so they cook evenly. And to that I've got a couple cloves of garlic. You can add however much you want. This is about 4, and I'm just giving it a rough chop. Again, it's going to be cooking, it's going to be blended in the blender, so we don't have to worry about that. And now we have our butternut squash. So I'm just going to cut these up into cube-sized pieces and add them to the saute pan. All right, and to that I'm going to add about a good tablespoon of salt, and I like to add some herbs, and because it's fall I want to add some fall-like herbs. So I have some rosemary and some thyme, and I'm just going to throw them in whole. And if I had remembered, I would have probably added a couple leaves of bay leaves in here. So I just want to give this a quick toss just to kind of incorporate all that salt in here around all the vegetables. And to this I want to now add about a cup of water. And this is going to help the vegetables cook. It's kind of going to give it like a steaming effect. And so we just want to make sure that's all nice and coated. And then to that, we're just going to add a lid, and we're going to let that cook until all the vegetables are soft, fork tender. We can test them, and then once they are, we will proceed with the next step. But just keep an eye, make sure it doesn't burn, make sure there's enough liquid in there. If you need to add a little bit more liquid, you can. If you need to lower the heat, if it's too hot, that's fine, or too high, that's fine, you can do that. But we're just basically looking for everything to be cooked fork tender. Should take about anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how large the slices or the cubes are that you cut up. So we can now see that our vegetables are fork tender. The fork is going through perfect. That's exactly what we want. We can take out our thyme. You can see that some of the thyme leaves have already been separated from the stem, and as well as the rosemary. Whatever's in there is fine. We don't have to take it all off. So we're going to add all our vegetables into our blender, and we are going to add about a cup of water just to help the blending process. And because the liquid is hot, we want to be careful, so I want to take the vent off, and I am going to put a towel on top, and we want to start low. And we want to continue blending until everything is nice and smooth and creamy, and if it's a little too thick, we can go ahead and add a little bit more water. All right, now that it's all perfectly blended, now we want to add it back into our saute pan. And because I still have some stuff in here, I'm going to actually add another cup of water just to kind of help clean it out. And we're going to need this water anyway. So now we get all that goodness, and we end up cleaning our blender out as well. All right, now we're back on the high heat. Now we want to add our pasta. So I'm just going to add some Ditalini Pasta in here. If you want to add a different kind, elbow, macaroni, or whatever, that's totally fine. But this is what I'm going to add, and I'm just going to add the whole box. And we just want to keep stirring until everything is evenly incorporated with the pasta and our sauce. Okay, so at this point we've got about 2 cups of water in here. 1 cup that we used to first blend, the 2nd cup when we cleaned out our blender. And so now I want to add another 3 cups in here because that pasta is going to need some water to cook in. So I'm just going to start with an additional 3 cups. So it's a total of 5 cups of water. And we're just going to let our pasta cook. And if it seems like it's getting too thick, then we can go ahead and add more water in here. And I'm just going to cook this with the lid on, and that'll just help keep some of that moisture in there, and it'll help the pasta cook. And we're going to cook it about what the directions on the box say. All right, so now we can see that the pasta is all cooked. It's nice and creamy. At this point, we're now going to add the rest of the ingredients. So one of the things that I'm going to add is this creamy cheese. It's like a triple cream or a double cream. You can get it, you know, at your cheese store, or Costco, I know, even carries it if you wanted to buy it there. This does have a rind in it, and I don't mind the rind. I know some people don't like the rind, but that's just preference. So I'm just going to cut it up in small pieces, and I'm going to add that to our dish. If there's another kind of cheese that you like goat cheese would be another creamy cheese that melts and would work for it. If you really like blue cheese, you could even add that. That would definitely give it a nice flavor, a unique flavor. So whatever kind of a melty, creamy cheese you want, that's fine. Now at this point, we also want to add for pepper, and we want to taste for salt. And I always add the salt after I add the cheese, because you never know how much salt is in a cheese. Now I am going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese also. And I'm going to probably add, I don't know, about 1/4 cup. I am going to add more as a topping later, so I just want to add a little bit in here. This is something that I would make for my daughter to get her to eat vegetables, because she wasn't huge on vegetables when she was, you know, 11, 12 years old. Now, of course, she loves vegetables, but sometimes it's hard to get our kids to eat the vegetables. Got to sneak it in as best we can. So that is pretty much done. I'm going to take it off heat, and I'm going to plate it to serve. And the other thing I want to add to this is I've toasted some breadcrumbs in some butter. You can just do that if you want. I think it just adds a nice little finishing touch. And so I'm just going to add a little bit onto the topping here. And again, I'm going to add just a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And now we get to taste this amazing cheesy goodness. It's so good. You can taste that creaminess from the cheese. Can't even tell that there's a pumpkin in here or squash, but it is so good. It's so healthy. I know your kids are going to love this one if you give it a try, and it's really simple to make. One thing I do want to say is that as it sits, by tomorrow, if you have leftovers, it will look kind of dry. All you have to do when you reheat it is just add a little bit more water to it, and it'll get nice and creamy again. So anyway, I hope you guys give this one a try. I have a great dessert over here that would be perfect for this to finish up your dinner. And until next time, ciao, I'm Chef Lucia, and I'll see ya.